Ladies and germs. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about flus tonight.
Yum. Where's my mask?
Welcome to the show. Many things to discuss.
Where's my spray?
Oh, yeah. Where's the Lysol can? But we do have this.
Can't hear them.
Can't hear anybody? Hold on
For a second.
We'll be
What are
shouting.
you talking about?
No, that was on my end. That was
Oh,
the little.
okay. Yeah.
You guys are fine. It was momentary.
Welcome! Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land.
In Farcebook land.
Yes, face bump, face broke, as we all say. Looking forward to another fabulous evening with you guys tonight. If you guys like what you're hearing, hey, can you give us a thumbs up? If you totally want to give us hearts, we love the little hearts. We'll do the little heart dance with you. And sit right there, because you know what? You don't want to go anywhere tonight. It's just going to be mind-blowing. Oh, my gosh. Ken.
You're right. I better stay.
The show can't run without you. I don't know how to push all those buttons. I'm not a tech geek. So tonight, Ken, let us know. What's all revved up about tonight for? I mean, what's going on for the show?
Ask a Geminologist.
A Geminologist.
Ask a Demonologist question. I was fussing with Facebook interface a little bit so far as
When aren't
we're not
you?
happy with it. Zuckerberg, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, we'll just take him out to tea, honey.
Ask a Demonologist segment. They have about 6 or 7 pre-canned questions. You can ask them live on the second hour. We're going to bring in a little bit of the what we call apocalypse universe.
Apocalypto?
Because we don't want to use the word NEWS because YouTube doesn't like it when you report news because they automatically think you're fake news. We're talking about Donald Trump, so you get
true.
demonetized. Just look on Facebook. It's funny. And tonight we have Kevin Malick coming up, and our segment coming up.
Wow, and we've got tons of hearts. We got a full
Conspiracy
chat room.
analyst.
Rosalie's here. Cecilia's here. Margaret's here. Rhonda's here. Silma's here. Doris is here. Patricia's here. Rosalie's here.
And
we got
so
like
is
full
St.
house.
Michael.
Oh, that's right. St.
And the
Michael.
Father, the Son, Holy Spirit.
Son,
Amen.
Holy Spirit, amen.
St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, and we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who roams the world seeking to ruin the souls. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, yes, yes. I have to bless it around here in case
On a
Facebook
regular basis.
curse.
Look at those little tiny little hearts. We got tons of hearts. They're so cute. Just love
I
it.
also mentioned, wait, did we get Deb in there, by the way? Deb, you there?
I hope so. Let's chime off. Who else here tonight? Come on, Ken. Introduce everybody.
Okay. Of course, we have Deb Johnson, longtime compadre, adopted sister, way up in the Connecticut land. Hello. Say hello to the audience. My love ventriloquist.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And, of course, secondly, we have, well, not in this order, not in the order of favorites, the Christopher Sampson Show is joining us as well. Where he sits in his
he's got a show over at his house he's going to share later.
He sits in his car, and that's his studio.
I got hearts. I love it.
Yeah. And, of course, we have Mr. Michael Norton.
Hello. Hey, we need to chip in and get Christopher a black van, like an FBI van.
Oh, my gosh, that would be
that'd be
so
great.
Cool.
Yeah, that crystal ball hanging from
And you
the
know what?
ceiling.
I paint. Okay, guys, I'm a good painter sometimes. I could, paint the Van Halen belt on it with some cool guitars and some notes and stuff. And
Yeah, make sure it's a striped guitar like Eddie used to use. A very nice joke.
Way fun.
And, of course, we have Kevin Malick, as we were talking about. But, hey, no time like the present. There's no present like time. Boy, sure, next time Christmas comes around, give me some time for Christmas. That's what I want. Here we go, folks. Oops, so much.
Dun, 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 dun.
See what I told you about?
Oh, my gosh. Okay,
No
this
sound.
leads
I
to
just
the
added that
joke,
last minute.
okay? What happens when you have two blondes and a screen? Right, Christopher?
Well, that's just funny by itself.
Oh my! And I'm not a natural blonde. I have to bleach my hair blonde just so I have an excuse to be this ditzy.
Live via satellite, Kevin Malick, our conspiracy
my
analyst, is here
gosh.
to answer.
Oh,
and
that's
Farrah will
right.
introduce this first topic here.
That's right. On the hot seat tonight, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we have a hot button topic. This is at the top of everybody's awareness level, because folks, I don't know if you guys in your own cities, everybody's going out, we're buying groceries, we're getting gas. Okay, who's taking this flu stuff seriously? All the little old ladies and the little, the little purple bottle blonde people, they got their little masks on. I don't know if anybody's seeing it. I'm seeing tons of it. And I'm also talking to cash register people and gas station people, and it seems that people aren't being very, shall we say, clean when they go in. They're like coughing, smearing the hands all over countertops. I don't know what happened to the day when people used to carry hankies and go cough and a hanky.
I'm glad those are gone. Now it's Kleenex.
Anyway, folks, today, what we thought we'd talk about is we'd bring you some disturbing possibilities and potentials from where some of our flus and some of these things are coming from. Of course, a lot of things you cannot change. Viruses and bugs and flus are going to be passed passenger to passenger, coast to coast, that sort of thing. Well, tonight we're looking at the flu outbreak is reaching a crescendo in hospitalizations. Hospitals are worried about running out of rubber gloves due to demand and crises in the ER. Officials are still pushing the vaccine on people, saying, get vaccinated. And, of course, the anti-vaxxers like me are getting tomatoed because, I really don't want to put, your aluminum and your mercury in my body so that, I can metastasize something weird another 20 years when I might need to pay attention in 20 years, okay? But I'm more deadly because I don't take a vaccine. But if the vaccine works, why is everybody mad at me? I don't get it. So they're still urging vaccines, folks. The outbreak is continuing. There was actually schools shut down in the Northeast and the South because people are getting this flu. Now, the typical symptoms for flu, kids, all right, you're getting fever, you're getting chills, you're getting all these weird physical body ache symptoms, and it's usually somehow or another, it's accompanied by some kind of URI, upper respiratory infection kind of thing. So, you're getting some pressure, you're getting some congestion, you're getting some icky stuff, okay? Well, there's flus going around whose symptoms are going on for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And the only reason they're calling it a flu because it's a virus they can't touch, and people are going in, and there's just no reason for it. There's no rhyme for it. And it's crazy, and it's bouncing around 2 and 3 times in homes. And you might get the fever once or twice, or maybe not at all. And officials are saying that, why aren't we getting fevers with this kind of flu? It's just kind of crazy. So you really have to be careful. You really have to watch. One of the best things that people are telling you before I let everybody else jump in here is that if you've got a flu and it's lasting for 2 or 3 days and like your fever, no. If you're laying in a flat, prone position, it's going to cause all the fluids in your lungs and in your head to get infected. You have to get upright. You have to get mobile. Bend over. I know it doesn't feel good, but you have to make sure, just like a sick person in a bed has to be flipped, okay, you've got to make sure that your flu does not go worse and get bad. So take it away, Ken.
All right, via satellite is Kevin Malik, our conspiracy analyst. I think I spelled analyst wrong, maybe I don't know.
That's all right. You're an analyst. We're not going to say anything else.
We'll say the producer did. And welcome, Kevin, with his comments on how can this happen? It's like, what's the deal? Why now?
Exactly. What's wrong with people?
Welcome,
You
Kevin.
did a wonderful job, Vera, explaining some of that.
Well, Kevin, I've been researching because it's like I have had symptoms for 4 or 5 weeks that are just not going away, and it doesn't make sense. And whenever it doesn't, okay, women, we're the busybodies. We're going to stick our nose. We see some guy sniffling over in the meat department. We're like, oh, honey, that's not a good cut of meat. Grab that one. That's going to be juicier. oh, you don't want that. That's got too much fat, honey. You're watching your little tum-tum. Get that leaner meat over there. I mean, that's what women do, right? So that's why we really needed to talk to you, because all these people, all this hearsay going on, Kevin, we hear a lot of different things out there. We see a lot of different things, and some people are being, here it is, this is what it is that, the cloud is being seeded with. This is what's going on with flu vaccines. This is why the flu. We know that you do so much more research with us, and we really are pleased to have you. And I know we're going to be just fabulously thrilled to pick your brains like carrion.
If we have any time left.
Researching this, I came across some stuff that Dr. Leonard Horkowitz had written, and he is he's pretty well known in mainstream and whatnot. And just like you said, there's no fever with this.
No, weird, huh?
When we're talking about, if it really was a bacterial or viral infection, it would have caused fever, but it hasn't.
Yes.
It's lasted weeks, sinus congestion, sinus drainage, cough, fatigue, and emergency rooms are filling up maximally. He believes that, he believes that the pharmaceutical companies and the government have this thing going on for profit, for one.
You think?
They say that this is what's going on is caused by mycoplasma, mycoplasma, and it's not really a fungus, it's not really a bacteria, it's not really a virus. It has no cell wall. It goes deep into the cell nuclei, therefore making it very difficult to mount an immune system response against it.
Okay, now Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, from what I studied about intermittent fasting and how peptides and nuclei deal with just, fat storage of regular sugar protein, or not sugar proteins, but protein that's turned into sugar, your cells actually make like this little pocket and they just shove it in there. And when you're talking about a mycoplasm that is not, it's not like your typical little celled virus. It's not a bacterium that has all those little hairy little cilia things going yum, yum, yum. A mycoplasm is totally different. It's like a chemically engineered something strange is in the neighborhood thing that invades the cell, and it sits there until when?
Are you asking me? Oh,
yeah, I'm asking you, because it's like I'm confused. I mean, what the heck is it doing in my body?
Remember, he's not a microbiologist, babe.
Well, he's smarter than me.
He plays one on television.
Yes, I'm not a doctor, okay. But I can say the Armed Forces Research Institute of Pathology has registered a patent for pathological mycoplasma that is causing this epidemic. So I'm reading about what this doctor's saying, and he said, he started looking into chemtrails when they gridded his house one day. Or when I say grid, where grid is sky above his house.
Yes.
And, we see these, they go back and forth, and they make these ugly grid patterns and whatnot. And he had went out, and he had taken some samples from around, because noticing some residue or whatever, and they say, when they spray these areas heavy, you can see this, sometimes it's almost like a spider web kind of residue that you can find on lawns and whatnot. And so he sent it into toxicology, and he said a week later he received a letter from one of the chief toxicologists saying indeed there was some amount of this ethinyl diarmite, whatever, that basically it's nasty. It's very nasty. And so he started doing research, and they say he's well, here, a Harvard university-trained medical researcher. Mm-hmm. Has become one of America's most controversial medical authorities. And glad for people like this that are putting this stuff out, because you gotta wonder, if this is not caused by regular flu symptoms, then how is everybody getting this?
Exactly.
And what do we have? We have the scenario going on where you got every day all across not just our country but the planet even. There's some agency that is dosing the skies with nasty things. The fact that nobody comes forward and is willing to talk about this publicly, that you can't turn on regular TV and see any talk about it. Nobody will take credit for it, but yet the projects like this must cost, millions and billions even, I would assume. A jet is not cheap. And, you can research it, and we're talking chemtrails, chemical trails, not contrails. These are chemical trails.
Well, tell us
This
what the
is
difference is between contrails and chemtrails, because people that just don't look up in the sky during their day and go, "Oh yeah, that's a white stuttered one, and that's a solid white one," don't really understand what a contrail is.
A contrail is a condensation trail.
Condensation meaning moisture, or does that mean like fuel from the airplane? What?
You see a jet fly, and you see but a contrail is just, I guess, moisture from the exhaust.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm. And when you watch a jet fly that's got a condensation trail, you'll only see the trail about an inch or so behind. When I say an inch, I mean from our perspective.
Yes.
You see a little jet in the sky, and you see
little peon.
It's got like a little inch behind it, and you can see, but it won't be more than an inch or two. Okay. Chemical trails now are completely different. You can now go on searches and see photos of planes that have been like these big 747s that have been decked out, and inside they got nothing but barrels hooked up to tubes that are hooked up to these sprayers, and then they go on, they turn them on, and they spray all this stuff out. Mm-hmm. And these are the big things that you see going all the way across the sky.
Wow.
Condensation.
Why do they last so long in the sky, Kevin?
They're designed to. I mean, there are so many different theories as to what's going on, and some of them are more believable than others. Some people, Magellan's has been tied to chemtrails, nanotechnology. Some people say, well, they're putting the aluminum in the atmosphere, so they're doing like almost like cloaking stealth kind of technology. There's all these different theories.
Wow.
I think that whatever they're doing, I believe it's nefarious just because it is so covered up. And I mean, if it were for our benefit, they would be talking about it all the time. We would know what's going on. Yeah. Every time I see a chemtrail, I say a prayer.
Wow.
That's what we say a prayer, like whatever it be, whatever comes to heart, because they're spraying this all over God's earth, and
we don't know what it. We really don't. We
can't. I don't know what it is, and
they won't release the truth about what it's in there.
Nature, he would already have that in our atmosphere. We wouldn't need to be spraying it. I mean, that would just be by design. Exactly. And since he didn't put it there, I would. Any day I'll trust God's earth over anything man can come up with.
Exactly.
So, when top researchers and doctors come out and they do samples and toxicology, and they know their stuff, and these are learned scientific men, they start raising the alarms, and finally you can talk about chemtrails without people rolling their eyes.
Yes.
Conspiracy. Because people be honest, like, when the skies, when you see these clouds and they kind of like, these chemtrails, they kind of like expand into these like, the sky even, like, sometimes the sky will turn all this greenish, funny color.
Yeah, it's like somebody just put like dye into like this white oatmeal or something, and it's just like expanding.
This easy thing, and it becomes this
crazy
weather formation, and and then, and there's even claims that whole neighborhoods and stuff will erupt in fighting after they grid a sky overhead. Whether that's true or not, I've never witnessed it myself, so I can't say it, but I've heard stories where, where everyone is out of sorts, and you hear people fighting.
That one's pretty bad.
But with this, I could see the financial thing. I could see, we know the pharmaceutical companies are in bed with the government, and so they're gonna play everybody for profit, and I think that's what's going on. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if this was caused by something man is doing, and something man is nefariously doing on purpose without telling the populace. And that's just my belief, but
it says in there that I have a bunch of montaged articles stuck together just for visual sake, not for reading. But if you see some of the portions of it, they say that simple breathing far greater in spreading the virus than previously thought. In other words, it's airborne, not just you coughing, but wouldn't that make sense? And how about the pharmaceuticals company? Have any thoughts about who might be behind this and for what reason, such as pharmaceuticals, who might actually stand to make a lot of money, or healthcare industry?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I want to find out from, our fabulous panel. I want to find out what chemtrails look like in their state, because I think chemtrails kind of vary depending on where you live in the United States. I know some places are more heavily crisscrossed than others, such as places, with military bases, places with larger cities. Because, see, like, let's say I lived in Colorado, downtown Denver, as opposed to maybe Amarillo, Texas. You're not going to notice over Denver so much as you will over Amarillo, because Denver has got one of the worst pollution clouds. I mean, next to Mexico City, it's horrific. You wouldn't notice it at all. So how do you want to couch that question, Ken?
Well, what were your experiences out there, ladies and gentlemen, of the Fellowship of the Swords sidekicks there? We'll start with Deb, since Deb might be
Oh, don't you love
asleep.
it? You're picking on Deb again.
Have you seen any chemtrails that,
Yeah, do you have a lot
you
of
thought was
chemtrails?
kind of odd? Like, wow, it looks like a grid. Are they trying to fence us in?
Usually once in a while, you'll see it, like if you're on the highways, like on 95 or 84, but it's more so going towards the New York side.
Oh, interesting.
Once in a blue moon, we've seen them here, but it's not heavily like I've seen in the photographs here.
Yeah, because we get that overhead here, and I'm like, oh, good grief, I guess I'm going to get sick in a couple days. And it's from experience. I know there's a possibility. That's why we said conspiracy analyst.
I'm not around any, bases around here, military bases. The closest military base we have is probably 2 hours away, which is Groton, our sub base. So that's for subs. So we don't have too many planes up this way.
Yeah, I think that's the distance of ours, too. I think ours is near Rolla.
Yeah.
Or at Leonard Wood, I think, maybe. I don't know. Oh, that's a heck of... Look at that picture.
I've seen these trails before in my travels,
Yeah, and, like the fluoride in the water and stuff, I mean, that's another show. Okay, Mike, how about you? You get them over there, over your neighborhood, so to speak, above, instead of to the right, left, southwest, east?
Not so much. We see a lot of air traffic into SFO and Oakland out here. They're contrails, never so much chemtrails. But then again, we're in a state where they legalized marijuana, so they probably got to us in different ways.
You know what? You have a point there. Everybody I talk to that smokes the stuff that's coming, grown from the heartland and in Mexico and Canada, they say that stuff is just like, that stuff's like doing speed now. It's laced. I don't know what they're doing to the DNA of the cannabis, but it's not the same cannabis I grew up with.
Yeah, someone, how Star Trek's always sending a probe into an anomaly, wouldn't it be great if some guy could just fly up in this stuff with something that can collect the sample of the stuff to end this?
It would be.
To end this, debate or whatever you call it. I was watching some online TV shows such as ours, and it was called, like, Why I Continue to Say That Chemtrails or, only contrails or something. And I'm like, why is he so sure?
Yep.
Where's your proof?
Sarah, I mentioned to you the other day about all these chemtrails.
Yes.
I read about it as well. And how I told you I thought it was diabolically engineered.
Yeah.
This is so the government can control us and weed us out. And it is for the pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
So there's a reason behind this, that they're doing this to the humans, because they're trying to make money on it and kill us at the same time.
I know.
And they took out Jerry Van Dyke, the assistant coach from the TV show Coach. That's Dick Van Dyke's brother. He lived down in Arkansas, and he died of that. It gives you COPD-like symptoms when you're elderly, or your immune system's not as strong, I guess, right? Because it clogs you up. But I got a vendetta now. I like Jerry Van Dyke. How dare you? I guess he knew too much. He lived in Arkansas, probably too close to, where the Clintons are from or something. Who knows?
Well, Christopher, you live a little bit away from the city and the strength of all those people milling around like little tiny ants. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if it's different where you live than, you come into Springfield or your work might take you to a bigger city. What kind of stuff do you see in the country there?
I will tell you several things, actually, that correspond with what we're talking about. One, specifically, like with the whole so-called flu, like whatever, I've had quite a few clients in the past few weeks, actually probably about the past month, that have come in hacking, miserable, complaining about nausea, everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Weakness, and of course I'm like, please don't share. I've gone through
please shut your mouth.
Right, and as soon as I leave my office, I'm like cleaning everything with Clorox wipes and everything else. But
gosh.
but almost with every single one, I've heard the same complaint. Oh my gosh, I'm usually over this by now.
Yep.
And I've had this forever. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, but hopefully you get better. I'll pray for you.
Isn't that terrible?
But kind of with this, being we're a town of technically 55,000. Now, during the day, that swells to about twice its size because of people coming in for work from the outside towns. But so, if people are bringing other things in from outside, it's just going to. But I was going to mention, too, about, the whole chemtrail things. A couple of weeks ago, I want to say a couple weeks ago, it could have been last week for all I know. One evening I took a picture of huge chemtrail like a checkerboard over the house.
Really?
Yeah.
And you had asked about, what they kind of the appearance. Well, contrails to me always look pretty white.
Yes.
Yeah.
These were like gray, brown, and just hung in the air forever. And I kind of wondered about that because, about, I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago, I tend to pray quite a bit in the evening, and then the sun was beginning to set, and I looked toward the southwest, and of course I had to shield my vision from the sun with my hand, and I was able to count 7 different jets, fighter jets, crossing. There were some coming from the south heading west, and then there were some coming from the west heading south. But if I hadn't shielded my eye from the sun, I wouldn't have been able to have seen at least 4 of those. But they didn't have chemtrails. They had the contrails.
Yes.
And that's why I thought they were military jets, because I've never seen a plane give off a contrail. I could be wrong. But each, the 7 of them had the contrails behind them.
Oh my
gosh. As long as I've lived here, I have never seen that amount of military jets all kind of converging in one place, as I did.
And that was this year, right?
Oh, yeah,
this
this
season?
was probably about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. What do you think about
And
that,
then,
Kevin? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I've been watching the sky. I watch the skies quite a bit, especially at night. I like to watch the stars. And even then, I kind of see quite a bit of picked up activity here and there, and planes flying over. And what's odd is I will watch these. In fact, the last couple of weeks, I've seen about 3. I've watched at night, lights blinking and everything. Clear nights, because I was very careful to observe that. But on clear nights, and as I'm watching them go by, suddenly it's like their lights blink out. So I don't know if they're intentionally trying to kind of cloud themselves or what. It's just kind of odd stuff that I've never really seen in this area before.
Yeah. Kevin, your thoughts on this?
Biological chemical warfare. That's my thought, Take an enemy out. You don't want to kill the people. You want to produce people who are, become dependent on the state and are totally sap the resources of the country, basically. Then you can move in with your military and medical industrial complex and your international medical pharmaceutical cartel, and sell these defeated people's pharmaceuticals and chemicals that they need to maintain any kind of health, I guess. I mean, that's kind of, to me that seems plausible, because just, everything we've talked about, just, this goes beyond speculation, especially when there's, things are manifesting in front of your eyes. When I say manifesting, like Chris was talking about, like I've seen something I haven't seen before. I'm not saying it's like a spiritual manifestation, but it's our government like doing stuff that, they haven't been. I mean, the contrails, they're doing it more than they've ever done it before. It's like they've upped the amount. It used to be you just see it once in a while. Now it's like you'll get days of it.
I don't know if anybody in here is old enough to remember when they first started crop dusting. And I don't come from farm family. I had some farmers in my dad's side of the family, but there was always somebody getting sick from crop dusting. And it was almost like it was likened to, what's it called, coal miner's lung. That, they got diseases that weren't even related to what they were doing. It was almost as if, they were heavy smokers, or they had been exposed to industrial chemicals, which, crop dusting is. And that's what this chemtrail stuff reminds me of. It's almost as if they're crop dusting humans. And the question is, why would they even bother? Because it all comes down to money. What's in it for them? And the only thing we can think of is people are turning to homeopath and natural remedies. Is it the pharmaceuticals that are killing us? Who knows?
We have a document up. I don't know if you can see it, Kevin, if you have access to. We had a slideshow previously. One of the slides in there is a forensic and scientific services from Queensland. What's that? This is because of, I think it's from Canada. I'm not sure, but it's got a report of the amounts that was analyzed. In other words, someone did take a sample, and how much over the allowed amount of every trace that they found, including aluminum, which was 110 over the amount of allowed parts.
Wow.
And arsenic was 42 over, and boron 40, copper 130, iron 143, magnesium, I guess that is, it doesn't say magnesium, 10, nickel 410, and let's see, what is that, selenium 100, okay, thank you, zinc 326.
Yeah.
We have it up right now, but I guess someone did take a sample of it. I think this was Canada, though. One of the few of the shots are from Canada.
Sad.
I like how you guys came back for a full circle, because now we're back. Okay, hypothetically, if the chemtrails are causing flu, or what they're calling a flu.
Yes, what they're calling a flu.
Everybody get these vaccines, and now you're into And so now not only are you inhaling stuff in your air,
Yes.
and, walk around, but now you got to go in and they're going to chew you up full of all the ingredients Ken just read off.
Yeah.
They're all bad for you,
Yeah,
or most of them. But yeah, especially in the amounts that they're doing. So, and there's other. I'll post some other links too on Apocalypse Nation. So regarding.
Oh, and that reminds me. Hold on 2 seconds, Kevin. Hold on 2 seconds, folks. If you like our broadcast and liking what you're here, please go to our page, Kenneth and Farrah Rose Deal, OFS. Like our page, and that way follow it so you'll get notifications. Like Kevin's saying, some of this stuff is going to be posted on Apocalypse Nation because not everybody wants to see it on their page. So we have a group called Apocalypse Nation where you can get some updates from Kevin, and Kevin also has some other groups we'll talk about later. But we love the thumbs up, love the little hearts. Take it away, Kevin.
Well, just that, just that there are now statistics where, I just read one the other day where a kid goes in, he gets the flu shot, and a couple days later he's dead.
Yes,
because
that's
of
scary.
the flu shot, directly. So, not that everyone's gonna die when they get the flu shot.
True.
But how good are they if you bring your child in to get one and he dies 2 days later? I mean,
Yeah.
That's so scary.
So, and then, you look at the families who own these, the pharmaceuticals,
Yes.
and all of it, they said some of the ingredients that are found in the analysis, well, who manufactures these chemicals? Turned out to be a Rockefeller family.
Wow. Makes
I'm gonna
sense.
start on that.
Exactly.
Like
So
the
it's just like,
Freemasons.
you just, the dots connect. You can put together a puzzle without all of the pieces, but if you get enough of the pieces, you can still put it together enough that if you step back, you can look at it and get the gist of what the puzzle's about. And I think that's what's starting to happen because now the questions we're asking, we're not the only ones asking these questions. Society is now, and that's a good thing. I can't, I can't believe that, Fox even has touched on some of this stuff. It's like, wow, and to me, I consider them mainstream media, but
Yes.
but I think certainly the CNNs and MSNBCs, they are just dying.
There's no investigative reporting anymore on this stuff, especially. Every man and woman has their price, perhaps. Yeah, it is highly suspicious when something comes in and it's like, it's almost like an altered version of something simple like a cold. I remember when I got to a norovirus of all times on a documentary shoot. I never experienced anything like that since I had the swine flu for the first time a couple of years before. And in this case, it was even more shocking because it mutated. You will get it again in 2 or 3 days again. You'll get it again and again and again and again. I don't even know when the endless possibilities are. Unless you Lysol your house, the doorknobs, sink knobs, the car door handles, all that stuff. And this one was kind of like the cold version of that. That's the throw-ups and diarrhea flu, if you pardon the what do you call it there, the color.
So that's not color, honey. That is just that's crass, as we would say with our little teacup little fingers in the air.
Yeah, I apologize for that, but it's the graphics.
Call it like it is. The Hershey squirt.
Oh yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. I'll put it this way: I only appeared in the film for 7 seconds. Because I got it. But that one was so bad, and they get them on cruise liners and stuff that I never heard of that before. That how can you don't touch your mouth? You go out of your way not to touch your mouth because I know that when you're biting your lip and you're pulling your if you put your fingers near your mouth, you can give yourself a throw-up virus. If you eat something that's less than perfect, especially like cream, milk, or chicken or whatever. I mean, chicken's a different virus.
Exactly,
But this one was so nasty, and it's like you can put on, you can sit in the same car with someone. You get it. I don't even know how you got it. You got it airborne. touch the doorknob, and until you Lysol your whole house, you'll just get it. Well, so one of the people who were with me on the shoot got it 3 times, and they got it after I got it the first time.
Oh, yes. That was crazy.
3 times, and on the 3rd time, I told them, I said, spray everything down. Here we are giving solutions again. How fair?
Well, you know what? It helps. You know, because we don't know everything. We don't pretend to know everything. But I guarantee you, with all the people we got on this panel, we can come up with some things that you guys can protect yourselves. And Zuma was asking that earlier, and I'd like to go over it, kids.
All right,
Let's go around, because I think we all have different things that we go through, you know, to try and make sure that we stay healthy for all those people that depend on us. And we don't have any single bachelors hiding in caves like Michael, huh, Michael Hoke? Not you, Michael, because we know you have a house full there. You know, but I'd like to, you know, just give people some tips, okay? And since we picked on Deb first, let's pick on Christopher Sampson, because we know he has widgets in his household like we do. And oh my gosh, these kids chew on their pencils, they suck on their combs, you know, they lick their fingers, you know, they pass stuff to their friends. It's like they're constantly passing body fluids. So what do you do to keep the clan healthy over there?
Yeah, how was it?
Well, I've got actually 2 different things. The first, to answer directly, I think Kimberly and I are pretty blessed in the sense that our children think that they're pretty delicate, and so they would run from anything that would even be icky, like a runny nose or anything like that. Not to say that they don't get sick, but anyway, you know, they're like, you, and they distance themselves. And we're pretty blessed in the sense that we don't know what we did, but they are hand washers. And so thank goodness from that, you know, but, you know, we try as a whole to, you know, just ensure the basics.
Yes.
Clean up after yourself. Wash your hands. You know, constantly doing laundry. I mean, it's just Clorox wiping everything down if someone even sneezes. Okay, you know, hey, line up everyone. You get a Clorox, wipe everything down, and then they go to town. You know, they're still at an age where they think that's fun. But the second part I was going to mention is that it's odd that we're, you know, this kind of the topic is that at work we just had to have a mandatory thing about hand washing.
Really?
This training, and well, I will just the surprising thing. One of the questions was, what is more effective at keeping out germs? Hand washing, or washing your hands properly, or a squirt of Germ-X? Now, I've always heard washing your hands is the best defense against that. But that was the wrong answer, suddenly. Now it's a squirt of Germ-X is the best way to defend yourself against these things.
Okay, do you know what the ingredients in Germ-X are? Alcohol. Yep. It's interesting that they said Germ-X, but the thing of it is that I'm going to take my turn later, but it's interesting that they said Germ-X, because Germ-X and these antibacterial soaps have led to a lot of the problems that we currently have in our hospitals right now, because we're getting super bugs because we're using antibacterial soaps on everything. And these hand sanitizers are destroying our body's immune system because we're overusing them.
Right.
I find that interesting.
But that was the correct answer. That was to use these products rather than the age-old washing your hands.
Well, that's because it's, you know, we don't want any plagues. So I guess, you know, I have to agree with it. No plagues in this house either.
So, yeah, but I was just shocked. You know, my mom always said, wash your hands, wash your hands. So I've always heard that was the best way. So, but anyway, yeah, I just thought it was odd. You know, that's the topic. But, yeah, we just, to answer your basic question, we just keep the basics, you know. Everyone stays clean,
Nothing
everyone
special?
showers, everyone wash your hands. So, nothing special.
Okay, Michael Norton of the Van Halen belt.
Hey, so my secret is hot toddies with airborns. I swear
yeah?
I have not been sick, man. I'm doing good. No, I have a whole house full of sick people right now. And like I said, I had the surgery back in December.
Yes.
And just, with Christmas party stuff, people sick of going out. And I was, oh, God, don't get me sick. Let me get sick. But it seems to be like the airborne regiment daily and the Zycams that kept me well. So I don't know if there's some biochemistry element there with the little funky stuff the government has designed here or what's going on.
Yeah.
It's kept me well, and I haven't been too stringent on constantly washing my hands and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We go out, we pick up stuff, and I've touched door handles going, oh, God, I should have washed my hands before I ate something, or,
Exactly.
But,
I touched my eye. I should have washed my hands. Oh.
Exactly right. It's almost paranoid, like, dang, I just got something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I've been spared in this environment. I don't know if it's just, God's protecting me right now while I'm healing, or it's just been something about those airborns and the Zycams with the zinc and all that regiment.
Could be.
It's kept me well.
Could be.
Don't know.
You haven't
I'm
had
just
any
not gonna live
chemtrails
healthy.
above your house. That kind of proves there.
That's right.
I'm afraid if anybody turns, I'm going to have to deal with it, right?
Well, you're the only one in a warmer climate, too. Remember, there ain't no snow in California,
That's
according
true.
to Jethro Bodine from
I don't know. Right now, it's like it's so cold here. Yeah, that cold air smells like it's about to snow.
Oh, no.
We got that here right now. It's cold.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, the cold just dipped its icy little fingers into California. That's scary.
Yeah, we had to bring the animals in. It got down to like 39 or something,
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's freezing for you guys.
Yeah. Devin Malik on your side of the country in Wisconsin.
And whereas if in Wisconsin it was 39, they'd be out like in short shorts with thongs and just running around the yard going, yes, I'm free. It's 39.
If it's above freezing, I'm happy.
Exactly.
All right, take it for granted.
What do you guys do to keep the boogeties away?
Me and Jennifer both have, or had, I guess, we have remnants of what's called the flu that's going around.
Yeah.
And I lost 2 days of work from it.
Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's, them were the couple, I guess I call the roughest days when it hits you really heavy and I just needed sleep. I needed a lot of sleep. And after them 2 days of rest, I, was fine enough to where I can, up and function and work but, there's still the cough once in a while and the sniffle. What can we do? We recently had the air filter changed.
Oh, good.
In the furnace. You obviously can't walk around with a mask all the time.
No. Of course not.
So all we can do is control.
Well, Kevin, let's say you get sick and Jen's not. What do you guys do to take precautions among the two of you to prevent the other one from getting sickness?
No, that's like if one of us gets sick, the other knows it's going to happen because we're so close. We touch all the same door handles, plugs, just we live together and, because I was the first one to get it before her. And it's like, I'm so sorry that you're going to get this.
Oh, no, that's rough.
We couldn't keep it out of here. We tried to face mask, Lysol the room, isolating, the sick person, me. No, my daughter got it first. Didn't Elizabeth get it first? I don't know. But, it's just, it was weird the way it swapped back and forth. I mean, it's like I was thinking, it's the norovirus in a cold form now, that you get reinfected with it, it comes, and it has a slightly different one. And when, Farrah, you got it second time, you ended up with a sore throat. And you didn't have it the first round, I remember. And I use peroxide drops to keep it from reinfecting myself through my nose. But it goes right to the chest. It doesn't even discriminate. You don't have to do anything to justify to get it in the chest, like have someone coughing around you all the time. But yeah, I didn't and then you watch the news and you realize, hey, this isn't a normal cold. I don't know. I mean, we did have abnormal cold to some degree. Remember these really freezing temperatures? So much for global warming for you people buying the conspiracy theories. You want to call this a conspiracy theory with the chemtrails? Well, then, global warming is actually harder to prove than chemtrails. So, hey, guess what?
Well, you know what? Zulma was asking, how do we protect ourselves, okay? Do you want me to finish up after we come back?
Oh, now let's finish it up now so that we can beat this one to death and.
It's not a matter of beating it to death. You know, we don't do these shows so that anybody can be frightened or worry about not stepping outside.
That's why we're trying to give
It's a matter of
solutions.
survival,
We always want to give
we have to
solutions.
beat it to death.
That's right. We're going to beat it to death because that's what we do as women. You know, and then when it wakes up from the dead, we'll beat it back again.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with chemtrails is, you know, there's really nothing we can do to change it. What can we do to take care of ourselves and try and stay healthy? Well, we can probably eat more fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi, pickles, pickled beets, that sort of thing that balances out our gut health and our flora in our guts, because your health resides in your lower intestine. So if you're experiencing symptoms, if you check your health, you know, if it's white, it's not right. You know, white bread, white rice, white flour, you know, white sugar, cut it out. You'll find a solution, because health really starts inside the body. Granted, we're going to run into these bugs once a year or twice a year out in public. And like everybody was saying, you can use a Germ-X on your hands, which is a good idea. It's a good rule of thumb. We have a huge bottle that is vinegar and a huge bottle that's like vinegar and ammonia. We use vinegar on everything. And somebody brought up cleaning
The second one's for cleaning.
No, this is actually for everything. This is actually for your hands, for
not the
cleaning,
ammonia.
cleaning services. Well, not the ammonia.
I'm talking about the consuming the other one, yeah.
When you have a filter, all right, a lot of people think that just, you know, spray it with some soap and water. Use vinegar. It naturally kills 99% of everything, just like Germ-X. You don't need alcohol or anything funny like that. Just use vinegar. And if you're worried about something touching you or anything else, use vinegar on all surfaces. And I'm talking white vinegar, apple cider vinegar. And what do we do when people get sick? We quarantine. What does quarantine mean? That you basically have this space, the rest of the family has this space. How do we allot that? We make sure that surfaces stay wiped off. We make sure that there's adequate intake, outtake in windows, in vents, and everything else. And we also make sure that the rooms get aired out on a regular basis. Like every couple days, you need to air out windows. You need to air the germs out of the room. You don't want people to go back in rooms and rebreathe the same stuff. Also, change your linens regularly. Your pillows, your sheets, things that you wear, like if you have a pair of gloves that you're wearing out in the wintertime, change it. If you have a scarf you wear, air it out, spritz it with vinegar. That's the best way to kill anything. And, you know, folks, it's just kind of common sense, like everybody was saying. You know, Mike's like, okay, well, you know, I don't have to worry about it because I take some zinc. And you know what? Supplements are wonderful things. Just make sure that you don't overdo it on the supplements, because you can overdo it on A's. And what was the other one? A's and E's, I think it is. So.
Well, zinc causes muscle cramps when you take too much, and C causes kidney pain.
C's. Oh, my gosh. C's can cause your tummy to... Go ahead.
Too much on vitamin E.
Yes.
So don't go crazy with the vitamin E.
Mm-hmm. A's and E's. So I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm having a tough time refreshing and talking to you guys, but thank you guys all for the hearts. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more, including Ask the Demonologist segment, and then the normal quackery that we get you involved in, folks. So and don't go anywhere. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, too, The Real Deels. Follow us on Facebook, Kenneth and Fair Deal. Thank you all for joining us, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Kenneth Deal along with my wife, Farrah Rose Deal, and we're going to talk to you about, real quick, about our books. So we have 5 books available right now and 1 on deck. The books are the Catholic Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide, and the Christian Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide. And that's for all denominations. Well, we also have the Haunting Self-Help Guidebook.
Any and all of these books are going to help direct you to not just the natural causes, prevention, prayers to assist you, to keep you and your family protected.
Yes, real solutions done by real people in the field. And we're sharing our knowledge and information to help you help yourself, or help a friend or a client if you're in the field yourself.
www.swordsofstmichael.org or
www.catholicdemonologist.com. You can buy the books direct and get them personally signed. A lot of books available right now.
Are you looking for something special to remind you what a mystical experience prayer can be? Are you looking for something beautiful to hang in your car for protection? Try Prayers by the Bead. You'll find a variety of original, one-of-a-kind Anglican prayer beads, Lutheran, Methodist, Catholic prayer beads that are made to your specification using our materials or your materials, made to order in just about any design that inspires you to get prayed right up.
Farrah has about over 100 in her inventory pre-made, and guys, yes, there's plenty of rosaries and designs for you, so to give to your father, for yourself, for your own prayer life.
We have a variety of exorcism medals, including the St. Benedict cross, beads, anything for your spiritual warfare needs. So, if you'd like some more information, find my page on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
www.etsy.com/shop/Farrah Rose.
Or on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
Yes, it is. It is back. It's the second half of Demonology Today, not Demonology Today. I'm so used to doing that. You know, this is our 10-year anniversary. I've told people before, and we mentioned it before.
Maybe with that
We're
other
being
woman.
broadcasting with Deb Johnson.
That's who I'm talking about.
It's radio. No, it's TV, and that's the thing. It's a hard thing to cancel. We removed that, and you know if you go, the demonologytoday.com will still be up, and it'll eventually. If you want to find something of the old show, the best place to go is watch over the next few weeks. Each week we're going to put one on YouTube.com/TheRealDeals. We have Father Gary Thomas, and then we just put Father Mike Driscoll, the author of the book which I don't have in front of me here, but it's like Demons, Deliverance, or something like that. But it's a great book, and I recommend it highly. Anyway, let's get on to our next segment.
Well, I just want to tell everybody in the chat room, I'm sorry I'm not interacting with you guys tonight, but face went face bump. And it just bumped me out a few times. I'm trying to get back in, so bear with us. Okay, so what are we going to tonight? What's
got
next?
A bunch of questions.
You got that right. So we're going to bring you in to the second half tonight with some. Are we doing Ask a Demonologist question? Or
yes, I thought that would be the best thing to do.
Good idea.
That's just I don't know.
Duke Nukem?
Duke Nukem might as well be. Yeah, I'm doing something and trying to walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't know. I guess we'll try to do the Star Wars thing next week, but I want to get to these things. Don't forget, you can ask questions directly from the comments or the chat room if you're in there on the realdeal.com.
Hopefully somebody else is paying attention because I can't even get in there right now. I'm rather.
I noticed that the web of Facebook was really taking a while to respond, and it wouldn't let me in on the other page so I could promote the show at the last minute on the other computer. So something's up.
It's
Thursday. We have a good stream. See, they work on another part of the machine one night. It was horrible on video, and the web's fine. So.
Yep.
I assume that there's some sort of... You ever get a notification from Facebook that they're going to have site maintenance? No, never.
No, they don't tell us anything.
Never. But that's typical.
Honey, we, in the world of the entire ecosystem, we are mushrooms. Get used to it.
Let's do it. I guess we'll do them in order so people can expect to say, hey, I'll wait and find out what they say.
You like that,
on
Christopher?
5.
I love mushrooms personally, but a lot of people,
Mushrooms.
Yuck.
It's like liver. It's like eating a rubber band, or something.
Come on. Rubber bands can be delicious.
Yeah. Well, liver's like eating a rubber band anyway, but mushrooms can be crispy, I suppose, or slimy and like eating a slug.
Yes.
No, don't put any mushrooms on
Slugs are us. Da-da-da-da.
And you can take them easy out pizzas, whatever. So that's the only good thing about them. Oh, you got mushrooms? Oh, it's okay. I'll pick them off. Here you go. Catch it. Hey, the first question is actually a good question, and that's holy water mixing ratio. We actually heard Father Chad Riviger, the exorcist, now in the Boulder area of Colorado. And the question was answered by him. But you know what? I've been saying for a while that God's generous. If you get distilled water, don't get it out of your tap faucet. Make sure it's as pure as possible.
In other words, it can't be full of ferrous iron and all these other wonderful calcium deposits.
Yeah, and I think the purity of it will make a difference, because let me give you the first example of this thing. Gabriel Amor says in his book that he was in some, third world country or whatever, and he got news of a possession. So he ran out. He didn't, wait for it to come through his bishop or anything like that, because he already has that approval. In other words, with the red tape, he would have got there and the person would have been dead, So he ran out very quickly to get to the site or the area, and he grabbed all he had because it's a third world country, and it's not like they have running, plumbing and stuff. It was a cooler with lemonade in it. So he grabbed it, he brought it there, he did his, exorcism blessing real quick with it. When he was using it during the exorcism, he realized it wasn't working too well as when he was younger. And he said something like, in the name of Jesus Christ, tell me why this holy water is not working on you. It's not pure. The demon responded back. There is something to the purity of elements of nature that is still left over from God's paradise kingdom, such as water, honey, sea salt. These are things that are pure. They don't like them for starters, but when you put the exorcism and blessing the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, it becomes a sacramental. Well, having said that, the purity of the water makes a difference. That's one of the reasons why you got to get distilled water. And it can be a variable if you get it out of your faucet. And maybe it doesn't work so well when you don't add the right ratio, because I don't know if priests are telling them, hey, go get the distilled water that's already pre-filtered. Doesn't have fluoride, bleach, and whatever in it. So we just told people, hey, just take the vial that you get, the shampoo size, things, or whatever, the little vial of holy water, and add that to your whole gallon, that you get from Walmart. Dump a little bit out so you can pour it in. Well, Father Chad said it sounds like 50 to 60% needs to be the mixture. I think that's about right, isn't it, what he said?
Sounds good.
But that's to play it on the safe side. But from our experience, the reason why we said this, because there was no plateau par, or whatever you call it, prior to this. So from experience, we found that just doing the bottle and the holy water and the thing was working for people, because they had to bless their own houses. It's not what we brought. Oh, we did combine, and we had combined before, and we didn't have any problems using it. So Father Chad's probably giving the maximum par. Maybe when you use it out of your faucet, that you have to step it up with a ratio of holy water versus tap faucet water. I'm not sure, because you want to bet at the churches that we usually go to, they don't have a filter on there, and then they just fill up that vat for the back or the founts, and then they add the holy water. I mean, they bless it, but you know what I mean. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. It's a little thought. Let's go to this our seminarian at large first, Christopher
Where's our
Sampson.
seminarian? Pull him out of the rock. Christopher!
Ratio of holy water in order to increase the amount you have. So you don't have to go back there and like fill up a whole gallon. The priest
We
will
need
be
your
like, what are you
seminarian
doing?
brain. Whip it out.
What's your thought on that? What say you?
Well, the only thing I think of is that, even in the book of Acts, we hear, and in the early church manual, the Didache, it talks about using running water. And running water itself was, and there they're specifically talking about baptism, but, in talking about water in general and a sign of God's creation and the purity, the running water itself was also believed to be an added sign of life. It was the living water, and so. But they said if you can't find that, then use what you have. But of course, 2,000 years later, with everything that's in water and everything that's added to water and everything, I don't know if they pulled out the Holy Water Cookbook after I left, but I'm not sure of anything other than what we've always kind of talked about, that symbolism of the purity, and also I remember in one of the classes you talked not only about the purity but also the water itself does. It captures light, it cleanses, all of these things, and what a more beautiful sign for not only for the baptism but also just the sacramental of holy water in general. It captures the light of God, God's grace, God's how God touches it as a sign of His presence, and also cleanses what it needs to. It drives away what it needs to, and so I'm a big believer in it, and we use it quite often here at the house.
All right. Anybody else have anything to add to that? This isn't a round table.
Even though you're not a seminarian, we'll listen to you anyway.
Okay, train. Go away, train. Somebody want to close that door?
Listen, we have a question from the chat room. Somebody's going away, and they wanted to know if they bring their holy water, because they always travel with holy water, will it be confiscated at the airport? I can add something to this, and maybe Michael can as well. If you have those little clear plastic cosmetic bags that you find in the grocery store with the little small bottles that you can fill your own things in, that'll be fine to go through an airport. When I went to the airport, they asked me if I had any water. I said no, because I forgot I had my water bottle in my pocketbook, and the scanner picked that up. So they opened it up and threw it out on me. That was my drinking water.
Oh.
But as far as the little bottles go, and everything is clear in there, you'll be fine in your cosmetics.
Yeah. Water.
Michael,
So they think it's
do you travel with holy water at all?
No, I don't. There's been times where I've had to. Like, I'm on the Protestant side of the fence, so good luck finding holy water in a church on the Protestant side of the fence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then their ideas of spiritual warfare are so diminished they wouldn't know what to do with it. I'm not knocking them. It's just where we're at.
Yeah.
So I've been in a pinch before where I had to bless a bottle of bottled water when there was a spiritual liberation prayers going on. The demon was trying to go back down. We're trying to go back up. Get stuck at the mouth.
Yes.
So we just walked off, and I just through the grace of God, He'll allow me to bless water and use it. So there's times too where I'd say under grace and battle, but you have to have the faith that He did it, because the demons will try to talk you out of it. So you have to be walking at that level to perform the blessing and the grace. To know that it has been blessed, and the Father will grant you what you asked for.
Good point.
All right, yeah, that was just mainly about mixing ratio. We talked about blessing hotel rooms a week ago or so, based on
Well, kids, okay, we haven't talked about the many ways to use holy water. All right, so let's sit down munch our cheese, and watch our neighbor's heads spin. Well, we go over 101 ways to use holy water on your favorite people you love and know.
No way. We don't have time for that. I'm sorry.
Okay, fine.
101 ways.
We'll do it another time. I'll
Well, we talked about holy water before, and we talked about sacramentals and then blessing your whole. I'm
talking about
ratios,
putting it in your kids' food, putting it in your dog's food, put it in your cooking food. It's just kind of like,
put it in the
bless
evening,
up.
put it at supper time.
Anytime you get upset with me, you're always spraying me with holy water.
No,
It doesn't work.
That would be frankincense and myrrh.
Spray bottle out.
Exactly. I need one of those Nerf guns so I can spray
The
back.
super soakers, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, the next question, and don't forget questions from the comments or chats. You may present
Yes,
them.
Deb. Please drag a new one up.
How often should you do protection prayers? Okay, this one just asked Laylee.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, and often, as part of the statement too, people that have done them and then they wait for things, to get worse before they do them again. That's a mistake, and that's why they get bad again. Because if you realize that a branch fell and it knocked down your garden, that you had a fence around it, and you're doing it to keep the rabbits out, and suddenly, you realize the fence was breached. All right, knock it off. That wrong segment, babe. Let's do it during the news when I'm bored.
All right, my little.
That the branches break the, in other words, it gives it, your supposed unpenetrable fence, access to the wabbits, those rascally wabbits.
That's what you want.
So you say it every day because you have to check the fence every day instead of letting it go overnight, because they come out like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at certain times of year, whatever. And that's what you got to do. And it depends on your situation. If you have an ongoing thing or you draw it purposely like we do, you have to say it every day. Even Father Chad Rippinger, the exorcist again, he gives a lot of talks, so he covers a lot of ground. And he's been out there since about 2013 doing this on YouTube, he says he was the first one that we found that's saying all the things that we did, because he said a lot, so you can cover it. But he found out he had to do it pretty much every day, protection prayer. And it's a prayer against oppression that we have on our SwordofSt.Michael.org website and our old DemonologyToday.com one.
Yes.
Prayer against oppression, modified a little bit for laity, pack it more punch for laity.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's just so that it can keep the bad stuff from coming back on him, from doing the work.
Yep.
Hardships and misfortunes. If you start getting hit financially, believe it or not, if it hits your office and the computers are going down, you're affecting the parish. Even if the parish pays for it, you don't pay out of your pocket. So protection prayers are partly done if you draw it in, if you're currently having problems right now. But as soon as you back off, if you had problems in the past, it's like when you change your diet back to you going to McDonald's again every day and you had type 2 diabetes before, you're going to get it back again, right?
Basically.
So
it can happen.
Comments and questions, whatever. Let's go around the table here, Farrah. Let's hear from your 2 cents on this.
I don't have any 2 cents right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So much for that one.
I was enjoying bumping your chair and you threw me off.
Oh, I'm not very good at getting distracted, like when I'm trying to think of something.
It's okay. It's my job to tickle you. It's your job to protest. Get over it. We're married.
Yeah.
What's the question again?
Next.
How often should you protect your
button for Deb.
She was just copying me. It's okay.
Anybody has a real comment right now without being rebriefed?
No, this has to be done daily, especially at the level that you guys and I fight. You have to. It's not so much a rabbit busting your garden with big fights. It's where that spiritual bus comes in broadside your car. And you have to just, daily protect things like that, because that's how it enters.
Yeah. It's that were-rabbit from, what was it, that English claymation thing?
Right.
Were-rabbit. That's the big one.
Were-rabbit.
And so experiences and so forth. I mean, don't find out the hard way. But yeah, it's just, let's see, what's the next one here is prayers can even draw payback. What's the name of that prayer that everybody's doing? It's called Anoria. What's it called again?
Auxiliarum Christianorum.
Auxiliarum Christianorum. Easier said than done. And either said
it's not a prayer, it's a set of prayers, and it's basically for people that are on deliverance ministry teams, praying for exorcists, or if you are directly involved in the exorcism ministry as an assisting exorcist. And there are prayers of protection, covering, and it prays for the protection of everybody else that prays those prayers. There's thousands of people praying those prayers.
And I think there's a notion that people are, praying this stuff, and Farrah, you're more familiar with it too. Did they warn you, besides talking to your spiritual director before you started, that you might get some sort of demonic payback because it's going to affect you're meddling with their affairs by saying the prayers and
No, because you know what, the way every denomination is kind of different how they handle prayer and prayer life, and this is not something to be sensationalized or something just to pick up. The prayers on this website are specifically for people that live, like some people that we know, they live an austere life. They have a daily mortification of a regular prayer life. They do any variety of volunteering of time, service, prayer, service, prayer. They live lives that are basically of service to everybody else. So when they look at the prayers of Auxiliarum and Christianorum, they fit right in with what they're already doing. Whereas people like Ken and I, who, have families, we have a ministry, and we have all this other stuff going on, we have to think twice about it and talk to our spiritual director and say, well, these are the prayers, and this is what they're for, and this would help. And we talk about it, and we get some guidance on, all right, is this a good idea? Because what we're telling you people is that without spiritual direction, we're left to our own devices. And left to our own devices, a lot of times we can make choices that are not always as good as they could be. And what I mean by that is that it's not that somebody is not smart or they're not holy or they don't love Jesus. It means that we're not able to step outside of ourselves and see the big picture. This website of prayers, they are very, very specific in binding away and casting away specific spirits, specific demons, and asking for the protection of the blessed blood, the sacrifice of Christ, his sacred heart. When you pray prayers like that, you may be meddling in a place where God does not want you, or God has not given you an anointing or a specific job.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can't do that. Let's just say I have something bothering me. I can bind it away from me in my house. But when I look at my neighbor and say, oh, well, my neighbor's getting an exorcism, I'm going to pray those prayers for her in the exorcist, God may not have invited you there. God may not have given
neighbor
you...
needs one.
God may not necessarily have said, you know what, that is yours. No, God wants you to keep your hands off until he calls you to it. So when you stick your nose in, you may have headaches, you may have nightmares, you may have children or family members that come at you from all levels, and you're like, what's going on? You might get stomach aches, you might get any number of things. This is why
things breaking down more common.
When you interfere spiritually where God hasn't called you, that you may think, well, that's no big deal. I was going to get sick anyway, or you know what, my family members are crazy anyway. No, it ramps up.
Yep.
And what Ken is trying to say, exactly, Michael, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Is that we don't do anything that we do lightly. We do everything through thorough prayer, through lots of meditation, and talking with our Father Confessor and a spiritual director. We do not just jump in and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to go do that. Because if we were, what we do here for you, what we do for other people can easily be dashed to the rocks. It can be attacked. It can't be destroyed if God's got his hands on it. But we want to be very careful that what we do is what God has given us to do. It's like, okay, let's say you're a carpenter. Are you going to go take your carpentry tools and go to an electrician's closet and start playing with wires? No, you're going to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
Same thing with spiritual warfare, folks. Don't doubt it.
That's right.
Don't step on that grid unless you've got electrical conductors and suits and stuff like that. You can deal with it.
Yeah, a spiritual director is not your parish priest for the Catholics, or even your parish pastor if you're
or even if you're a
denomination.
Protestant. You can't rely on your pastor may be very, very holy, but a spiritual director needs to be somebody that has a level of holiness that is basically saintly, that he's living a life blemish free of any sin. And that's really hard for any of us to do.
And that's hard to analyze that too. They
is.
They have to know that you are too. Like parish priests may only know that you give a lot in the collection plate and whatever. They don't know the things you do. Someone who knows you much better and who is specifically someone.
Yep.
Sister Faustina writes about frustration in a diary. She calls the regular priest a confessor, but she needed, because she was having mystical experiences. And you'd have to go to the right priest for that, because the other ones would be like, that's a nice. Maybe you ought to lay off the mushrooms.
Ken and Phil, we have another question.
Okay.
Okay, we're just going to backtrack back to the holy water again, in a way.
Okay.
Do other religious denominations do exorcisms? And also, why don't they use holy water? If we know the question, the answer to that.
That's a really good
true.
one. I know Christopher the seminarian is just itching to jump on this one, and then we can answer it next.
Yes and no. No, I've got it. Okay. My memory's actually working today, so thank God. Yes and no. As Catholics, as Orthodox, and Episcopalians, they use the holy water. The Anglicans use, holy water. And a lot of it is the difference in whereas how I like to describe it is we tend to we're very physical with our signs, whereas a number of different Protestant churches may or may not be. It just depends. I've been to some churches where it's like the only thing is like the preacher's pulpit and the cross over the baptismal place. That's the only physicality in it. I've been to other Protestant churches where there's like I remember one time big Advent wreath and candles, and it's like, wow, this feels more familiar. So to kind of answer that, it just depends on how open it is to how they view the physicality of faith. As far as holy water in general, I mean that goes with it too. We would view it as, yes, God can use a physical object to manifest some sort of sign of grace, a sign of His presence. But reality is that as Christians of different denominations, we don't share that same view. So it's kind of one of those things where you kind of have to, I hate to use the term shop around, but you kind of have to know who you're basically kind of talking to if they are open to that sort of thing, and whether or not you believe
any denomination use holy water.
Of course.
Well, holy water.
Yeah.
It's not blessed, so it's not holy water. It's just water.
Well, if they get holy water from the church, they can use it.
Yeah, I mean, they do it in whatever, the ones that kind of followed after the Catholics, Lutheran, maybe. I don't know about Lutherans anymore. I haven't even looked at that, but some
Lutheran churches still do. I've seen
yes,
water
they
there.
do. They do. You're right.
And maybe they bless it in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yep.
But no, what about Deb? You think they were referring to other religions outside of the Christians?
Exactly. And if I can address this real quick, every single, whether they are Buddhist, whether they are Native American, whether they are Hindu, they usually have some sort of ceremony, elder, shaman that will handle a negative demonic spirit.
Yep.
And what they do is not exactly what we do. All right, as a Christian and as a Catholic, they don't plead the blood of Christ. They don't call upon any sacramentals to use to, like Christopher was saying, the physicality. They don't do that. They call upon their own belief, their own faith, their own gods to protect them. They call upon appeasement rituals that basically...
Correct. Yeah.
And this is
Their own
basically
so-called gods,
what
I guess
they've
we should
done
say.
for hundreds of thousands of years is, they have to go a step further. They used to sacrifice infants and as well as leave, crops and stuff for these demonic entities. Now today, they do it a little bit differently, but every denomination has a different way that they handle it. The problem with any sort of belief system outside of the Christian faith, it is only going to be a temporary measure, and it's only going to be a little pat on the demon's head and go, hey, you be nice for a while. And it will be nice for a while until, the rough stuff comes and you got to call a Christian.
Yeah.
That's in the Pharaohism way. That's exactly what she said. Her way, she was saying, whenever this is done, it's an appeasement, patting him on the head, trying to make the dog be nice for a little bit, but you don't want to make deals with demons and anything under God that proclaims to be a God that's not of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the same God. Is a demon, because only the fallen angels demand to be worshipped. Because even the misunderstanding about the Blessed Mother, she never asked to be honored and venerated even.
No,
but that's her position. She took the seat that Satan held in heaven as the highest angel, because she did the exact opposite of Satan. In her humility versus pride, and his attributes, these virtues, and the proving ground put her in that position to earn that seat. And besides, she was a prepared soul. Despite of what that song called "Mary Did You Know," as though she knew nothing and she was just random.
She knew.
She was a Solomon, son of Solomon, just like Joseph was, which was, you think about it, both lines of Saint Joseph and the Blessed Mother came from the lines of Solomon. They were kings. I mean, Jesus would have been king by default, but they didn't look at that. The census knew it. The government knew it. The Romans, so they knew it. But the Jews refused to accept it. Herod, where did Herod come from? I bet he didn't have any kingship lying in there before him. Just like a bureaucrat, But so there's no, and Farrah, she didn't, she pretty much, what she didn't say is what wasn't. It's non-existent. They don't use water for anything. Don't come in there and say,
well, that's why
they don't have holy water.
They don't have a physicality of this is how we tie in our beliefs and our faith to our actions. And that's what sacramentals are, kids, is it ties in the faith that we hold in our hearts, the tradition we have practiced, and the act that we are committing. That's the three-legged pillar that we stand on with sacramentals, kids.
And based on what you touched on, Farrah, I've seen in Asia, too, where the Buddhists came in, and the top Buddhist monks cast out a demon.
Yeah.
Like they put the fruit in front of them, tried everything, couldn't get out.
Yes!
So God used it as an evangelism tool to send just one little lonely pastor in there, cast the demon out, gave him the anointing, and then that converted most of the temple.
Isn't that amazing?
Because they'd never seen power like that before, These guys were wits end, like, we can't get this thing out. Here comes one little guy.
What, Michael, that's a really good example, because these Buddhist monks, all they are focused on is the centering of peace. They aren't really focused on there's one God, because there was Buddha. And, they don't understand that's just, he's not a God. Buddha was a great kind of peaceful guy, but he's not God.
Isn't that weird that they got statues and incense in front of like he's a god, but then again, it's a prophet.
Exactly, and that's okay. That's why there's wacko Christians like us to go jump them and go, hey, come on over here and play with us.
Yeah. Oh, by example was what Jesus started with, and
precisely
he was on deck with all these things. And when you learn the catechism, they tell you that Jesus performed his miracles because it validated that he came from the Father. He did the things the Jews couldn't do, raise people from the dead, cast out demons. They would spend days and days, petitioning God with deprecation prayers. Oh, please deliver my daughter. And Jesus came and he did just like that. Only, someone from heaven can do that. And then they tried to say, hey, here's one casting out demons who's worshiping demons. You know, it's like, yeah, right. When they get you that far, we know into possession, they exactly got where they want. They're not leaving it all easy. They like that, the meat puppet. You know. You know, so if there's no other comments, we'll move on to the next one. But let's see if there is any. We kept Kevin Malick in here since him and his wife work these things too. So we'll let
they do.
Kevin fire off on this one too, real quick before we go on to the next one. Kevin, that was regards to prayers. I'm sorry. How do I personify the topic? Just, I guess he's been listening. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I'm going to pass.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, the last couple of minutes, I didn't know if I was coming back on or not. To be honest, so
I just kept you on because
at the post and
you're an old friend. So
we just kept you on in case you wanted to pop in on a question or you know. Well, it's nice to have you. Okay, we'll pass you.
I didn't know you were still with us.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I was just being quiet because you guys kept going around and I'm like,
You're
well,
so
this is,
sweet.
you know,
We'll throw you another one. Hang on to your herring.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one's kind of a rant, but keep your questions, posting, and then Deb will bring them into the chat room in the least. We're having, if you're able to at some point, I don't know if Facebook's having any problems, and that is don't trust your feelings. Boy, this one goes so far. Right? Don't trust your feelings. You know, it's the opposite of Star Wars. Remember, it's a fantasy. Don't go by. It's not a philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, Star Wars. Don't trust your feelings goes to all the people who proclaim themselves to be a mystic. You know, anybody who's in the church calls himself a church mystic. They a seer, and we're not supposed to trust our feelings. Anytime you go into a haunted house, oh, I felt this, don't go by your feelings. Anytime you think that, hey, I don't feel right about this. Well, don't trust your feelings because they can come from either place. It's not discernment. We're not, the devil, actually capitalizes on emotions and feelings, and God works on the spirit, which may invoke feelings, because if your spirit's troubled, your body may actually feel the effects.
True.
But the devil works from out, and he tries to work inward. He tries to work through the corporeal side of things, and then tries to affect your spirit through that, because that's all you can do. You can only work from the outside in. So this is kind of like with the people who say, that I'm a psychic medium, and whatever the terms are, empath, sensitive, and so forth like that. How many times we've been to a place, let's even go this further. We get cases that other people had tried, and then they come to us, and they said, I don't know, we'll get to that one next, the demonologist or some, clairvoyant, psychic medium, whatever. She said there was 3 demons there and 2 ghosts and partridge in a pear tree, and they believe it. I'm like, why do you buy into that? I tell them right away. I said, why do you think? Okay, so they have an infused knowledge, and that's what they do. They get this kind of I have an infused knowledge. Where's your experience? You haven't been around for even 10 years. Yeah. How do you know? You're not looking at the logical, investigate it like a detective. I'm not going to say a cop, because cops don't do detective work, even though you say, they do write reports down. They might take notes, but detective, Sherlock Holmes. This is why my wife referenced, in our last book, Haunted Investigations about that. Right. That's a key right there. You can't even trust what you see either. We're corporeal beings.
Filter everything, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. What?
So you can't even trust what you see either. You have to filter everything. Like you said, it's a crime scene.
Yes.
I don't know if Denise Pridemore is in there, but she knows of the people.
Yeah, she is. She's just starting to feel better, Denise. She's getting over a flu bug.
Hello, Denise and Ron.
Yes. Well, when you talk about filtering out stuff, Michael, I think that's a really important thing that Ken brought this whole thing about don't trust your feeling is that, we've been given our feelings by our Creator for a reason. We need to know what hot and cold is. We need to know when a dinosaur is about to eat us. We need to we need to have some really. We need to know when we're feeling love towards somebody and we're going to get killed with an axe that we need to run from somebody. We need to trust those feelings. However, the feelings that Ken is talking about are the feelings that are associated with, shall we say, ordinary oppression, which is called temptation. The temptations of the spirit world to let us know that, somebody wants to get our attention. Why? And what are those feelings? Oh, I'm sensing that something is near. Yeah, it probably is, and you probably should shut your ears and eyeballs and not pay attention to it.
Tune it out.
Exactly the instant Michael was giving is a lot of times things are going to be thrown at us that are probably not true because they're affecting us on a sensate level that are either making us feel a lot of joy, a lot of excitement, a lot of happiness, a lot of like, awesome, I can't believe it, like, wow, I can't believe I saw that.
Turmoil in your life, I mean, everybody has that gut feeling.
Exactly.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And that's something,
you know,
Deb,
when to trust your gut feeling, and you should go with your gut feeling.
Yeah, there's
if
exceptions.
You're driving and you're thinking about something that, oh my God, something's going to happen to this one or that one, and out of the clear blue, it just hits you like that.
Yeah, I didn't say disregard your feelings, so you know what I know.
We're talking about excessive sensory feelings that just make us
but
think
like
that...
going into a haunted location. You know, I mean, of course, everything's going to jump out and grab you.
So
you know, you're going to feel something.
That's why you have to
because you already
turn
have
those
it programmed
off.
in your head that it is a spooky location.
Oh, very true.
Yeah, we have to, you know, and go to the logical thing, and we look at the demonic footprints because you remember the angel of light thing proclaimed in the Bible, saying you can appear as an angel of light. And we call it the great masquerade when they show up as a child spirit. And then the person who, you know, is sensitive, or even if they appears bedside and says, I miss my mommy, you know, I want to live in the Annabelle doll, you know, or whatever. And it only does it to people, teenagers, to be like, go away, brat. You know, but parents who have a kid relate, especially, you know, women, of course, because they're mothers and they're empathetic and all that stuff. The father would be like, go to your mother, you know. Go find your mother. I'm trying to sleep here, you know. But they try to work on your feelings, and that's how they get to you. And you don't trust your judgments. Like, okay, why would a guardian angel leave a child abandoned in the afterlife and not direct them to, you know, the light, you know, as the poltergeist thing kind of said. So, yeah, there's exceptions, but you know, don't trust your feelings. You know, goes on that. What I was going to say about, you know, Denise's case, because she lives by Atchison, Kansas, in what's called the Sally House on the TV thing. And originally when they started to inquire about the case, and they brought over a paranormal investigation team, you know. And,
so true.
And here comes this psychic medium, and she says there's a child spirit here, and then when it attacked the husband for running off and with the wife and trying to run out and put the baby in the car seat and leave, and it scratched him in the back, she said it was just protecting the baby. So protecting the baby from the father for running away from you? You know, this sounds like some weird divorce court scenario, you know. Yes. But that's the thing. It's this, you know, don't trust don't trust your senses, too.
And you know what? We just got an excellent question from the chat room that is kind of counterintuitive to what we're talking about. Barry L. Fisher says, you know, can you comment on someone like, you know, Mother Teresa? She lived for years. All right. You know what she did, kids? Lepers have raw, suppurating, dead necrotic flesh that is falling off. She would bring these lepers in and she would clean them off, wash the wounds, bandage them, kiss them, feed them. And she lived for years with this sense that God wasn't pleased with her, that she couldn't do enough. She didn't understand why. She never felt worthy, but she kept up her prayer life, she kept up her faith, and she kept doing what she did every single day. Now, this is, you know, what Ken was saying, you know, don't trust your feelings. This is what I truly believe she had to deal with every day. She was probably attacked every day for what she did.
Yep.
And
Yep.
she was probably attacked and said, "You're worthless. You're stupid. You're not doing anything. You're not making any money. You know, there's nobody else opening houses like you. You're just dumb and you're stupid." But what did she
That's
do?
right.
She got up. She said her prayers every day. She did. You know, she went about. Mother Teresa wore 2 nuns' habits the whole life. She wore nothing else. She would wash one at night to wear the next day. She would go to sleep, put it on, and did this. This is where not only did she not trust her feelings, but she did what she knew was right and what she was called to do, no matter how she felt. So I thought that was an excellent
Because
question.
God
guys.
was working through her.
Exactly. In his own way.
And you know that Mother Teresa was working in a third world nation, which was a demonic region that wasn't totally Christian. Even now it's not. So that oppression is on her constantly. Constantly. You weigh it and feel it. And that's what she had to come up against.
You know, you've got a good point there, Michael, because, it's Christopher, I want to hear from you. I just wanted to add that, you know, when you live in a land of paganism, when you are, you know, operating as a missionary in a land that basically, land is principality, folks. And when a principality is devoted to one demon or another, until you consecrate that land, and even when you do, you're going to be fighting because that demon is given authority over that. Right, Christopher?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you are constantly staking your claim, even if you keep getting beat down and the forces keep coming against you, and you keep, like you said, every day she got up and waged battle.
Yes.
In her own little way, and she kept getting, you know, if you've ever read the book of the letters and correspondence, called, I think it's called Light in My Darkness.
Oh, how pretty.
How for years, for decades, she would basically kind of in the wording, it's almost like she was grieving because she would say, "I don't feel God's presence.
Right.
I don't feel Him. Does He still believe in my work? Does He still want me for Himself?" And every day she got up, she put the smile on her face. She reached out in love. She prayed. She did everything that God asked her to do.
Yes.
But inside, the enemy was waging battle. And like we said, or like was said earlier, he only waged war on our emotions and from the outside in.
Yes.
So where could he get her? But you're a disappointment. You're not doing enough. You're not, you know, and she didn't trust her feelings. She
Thank God.
said, above it all, she said, "This is how I feel, but in my faith, I know He still loves me."
Yeah. Her faith overcame her human condition and strongholds, which is super amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes so far. Don't trust your feelings.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel depressed for no reason. You're like,
Isn't
hey,
that
what am
the
I depressed
truth?
for? I got a great life. And then you find out demons attach themselves to you, and they create this stupid, I don't know, I can't think of a better word for stupid, that they layer. Yeah, they give you feelings that you're not supposed to have. You know, it's totally induced. Go ahead, what?
Yeah. I was just going to say at the very end of her life, in fact, days before she died, one of her sisters testified that she came across Mother Teresa deep in prayer in front of a picture of Jesus on a wall. And she overheard Mother just say, "Jesus, you know I have never refused you anything."
Yeah.
Including her pain, her confusion, her questions, her not feeling His presence. She gave it all.
Yeah. The continual dark night of the soul.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we could almost we can do some show sometime on some of the saints with some of the more interesting aspects and some disturbing, I guess you could say too. Again, Maybe we can get one of our priests on.
Can we have from the chat room, from Barry, he mentioned she underwent an exorcism near the end. Can you address that? Michael? Christopher?
I'm not knowing that.
I had never heard that. So
I've heard that. I've heard about it.
I haven't either. So
I don't have the details, but I would suspect that, like we're talking about the oppression, if you've ever been in these third world countries and just lived there, I have a feeling it was done just to give her freedom from the strongholds, or how badly they were just wrapping around her mind and attacking her. So I'd imagine it was that level of exorcism, not casting out a demon itself.
That's right.
So it was protection, or to break free of, like we said, the principalities, whatever it was. That's beyond liberation prayer. There was something stronger going on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure she was attacked by a lot of things.
Oh, some nasty
By
stuff.
a lot she had a lot of attachments. She was surrounded by so many different people. But she picked up her cross and she carried it.
That's right.
Yeah, do you remember when they said to Pope, I think it was John Paul II, that someone was acting possessed? They might have even been in a wheelchair or something, and they acted like the Pope just because he looked like he was blessing over and he touched her forehead, that he did some exorcism. The Pope's not an exorcist. There's certain functions of the church that are decided as such. It's not like he doesn't fit the criteria. That's not his job. He's not going to have the Roman ritual, memorized. He might do an on-the-fly prayer like me and Farrah have been forced to do, and someone manifested with extraordinary human strength and other attributes of possessed. You just can't leave him there and say, I got to go get a priest. I'll be back in a week.
All right.
So the Pope was just saying prayers over her, and we don't, by the way, you don't touch the possessed. You put a crucifix between you and them, or, something along the lines. And we're not priests either, so we're talking about the Pope. I mean, why would Saint Teresa in that case need one? Yeah, that makes sense, that you get relief by having these things that might ail you at the end of life, especially when you're a sister, you're not a family member and all this stuff. You devoted your life to suffering, kind of like a living martyr, that it might be too much when you get older and near the end of days, when you're about ready to, push up daisies, as John Wayne used to say. That kind of thing. So that's what it was like. Yeah.
You could probably imagine too how much publicity she was getting. The enemy didn't like her because she was winning, so they had to up the ante on her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so don't trust your feelings can be extended a little farther, but I think we'll save that for, as it could extend it, don't trust your senses, for another episode. But the next one, of course, would be, Farrah, that was just relating to Mother Teresa, and I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on that. Someone said from the chat room that, why do you think that they did an exorcism on Mother Teresa before she died or whatever or something? But people call it an exorcism when someone does what we call deliverance prayers to make sure that they've been detached. If you're around a lot of darkness, all of us do. That's what we said earlier, up there a couple bullet points away, that you have to do daily protection prayers, because you can't just be in a state of waste. The Elmer Fudd version. State of grace. You just got to the state. So when I do Elmer Fudd, I sound like Bill Clinton. You just can't do the state of grace. The state of grace. Yeah. So I can't do Elmer Fudd like I can do Bill Clinton. So.
Sorry.
Thank you, Deb.
Oh, my
Deb, we got our laugh at evening.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Right. Okay. Be serious.
That's right. Be serious. Be serious.
Yahoo serious.
Your mother is listening in heaven, Deborah. Be serious.
You remember Yahoo Serious? Whatever happened to him, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think I even seen that Young Einstein movie. So
He split the beer out of him, yeah.
He left quicker than Carrot Top. Hey, we had a question last week that we shortened, but the problem is it's got a long answer, so we were not even going to get it in this one. And
I know it's going to be tough.
I don't want to beat it, but defining what a demonologist. We said last week that demonologist really is, if you want to know reality, it's anybody who studies demons. My wife is a gemologist. She actually went to school for it, and so did her father. And but demonologist is a little different because there's not a proper school of study that goes into such deep depths. You can watch all the Father Chad videos and so forth, or read all the Aquinas writings. But the reality is, if you're a top go-to name of a certain sort, to use the old definition, you should just be, you're the go-to guy for, a demon problem. And Ed Warren preceded this thing, it was a self-proclaimed title. I don't think the church calls anybody that there, except in one particular case of a lady in that diocese.
So why don't you tell people why we call ourselves demonologists?
We use the term because the mainstream understands it, but we do. That is our forte. You know how some people are sports savvy, and then they can tell you about the Yankees. They can name every stat, and that's us on demonology. And it was a necessity going back when we were kids. Okay, right? But you need the catechist. You need the theology. You need to understand the psychology of humans. You need to understand the psychology of demons. Okay, could they affect both? The history of well, let's see, what was the name of the demon that, affected the person from, no, that doesn't help you. If you don't understand how they work, it doesn't matter how much history you learn if you haven't learned from the history as a case study example. But it does take longer than 10 years to get where we're at, and there's a lot of people who sport the title, and I don't want people to confuse when people use the title. It just means that's what they allocated their focus on. They're that team specialist, and how long they've been also can depend on. And we're talking about the qualifying factor. What qualifies one doesn't necessarily qualify another. In other words, the mentors have to be qualified themselves. For example, some of the ones that we used to might consider one that qualify have turned out to be fraud.
Totally.
And so you want to really ride the coattails of a fraud or a neo-paganist or a Satanist or a womanizer or all of those things, said that you're full of it, because a fake bishop, or fake clergy, those things really can add up. Qualified mentors means that they are qualified. And they can be any number of people, a priest and so forth. Obviously in the old days. But who was it? Everybody's trying to ride the coattails of Ed Warren. Thank God he's not alive. It's like the Elvis fans. But I'm not going to get into the Warrens on this particular thing, but where we were, 6 years ago was where the Warrens weren't even there. We're getting calls directly from, referred from the diocese office. But what I'm saying here is that just because a priest refers them to somebody doesn't mean they might have just read about you in a magazine saying, hey, the Warrens are nearby. This can happen with any team members or something, because priests don't know what to do. They'll tell you to wave sage sometimes. Education, there's no education for this stuff out there where you can just go there. Bible college, don't think about that. You're going to Bible college for 8 years. Don't give me that stuff. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
The Bible doesn't have enough in there. It just makes you kind of a biblical demonologist, like you're good at reporting the resources as demons in the Bible.
And that's okay, too, but that is not going to give you on-the-boots training, right there on the ground. And that's what we were talking about the other day with someone that had basically been referred to a demonologist that was a lady that was writing a book that basically had maybe a few years reading books about demonology. Now, you can read books on demonology.
Oh, gosh.
Exactly, Michael.
Oh, God.
So she's reading stuff like, Crowley. She's reading stuff like Sigils, of Michael and all the angels. That's nice. When you are dealing with someone...
Nice,
well, it's nice to the point where if you want book education on fractions, pick up a book on fractions. But if you're going to be basically talking to somebody that is building a hydron accelerator or something, you've got to write them on a board, that's going to be a different topic. So when you're looking at somebody that says, oh, I'm going to refer you to a demonologist, Number one, are they associated with a major religious organization that is listed and accredited, okay, and respected in their Christian community? 2, have they had anything other than book experience? Yeah, I studied, or I'm writing a book, because chances are they're collecting your story to sell. And what we find, this is not something to sensationalize people. Please do not sell your life for a dime solution. There are no dime solutions.
Right.
Watch out for them.
There really aren't. And third, are these people coming from a place of a holy life? Or in other words, are they, excuse me, I'm fat, but are they 400 pounds? Are they not taking care of their life? Do they have a level of religious observance in their life? Do they say their prayers? Do you have a sense of peace about this person that they can actually get you to a place of peace? Because if somebody doesn't have peace, they're not going to take you where they are not at.
They can't protect themselves from all these things.
They can't. They just can't.
How can they protect you or give you advice on being protected?
Yeah. They can make it worse, too. Yeah.
So, when I read Ken's book about demonology, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could read this and I could write this, because, it was like, I don't need to read it. It was like bizarre, because it's a lot of the things that he wrote about, not only did I experience and I tried to help ghost hunters with, that is really unusual, because I'd already walked that path.
That was
Very few people walk the path. But that doesn't mean if somebody's read books that they can't help you. They may be able to give you some pointers and some advice. But as far as getting you to a place of peace, they have to have perfect peace, no chaos, no writing books on your dime, and they have to be rooted in faith. If they're not, you need to go to the next aisle over. That's dangerous, folks.
The Exorcist Handbook that they give new appointed exorcists actually outlines it. And, of course, there's that version of it online with the old ritual. But you have to be a certain man of piety and character attributes, virtues. And that's the same thing for this. When you see that, the demonologist is mixing neo-pagan solutions, reads Crowley because he wants to learn from the witchcraft side of things is what they'll excuse themselves with. There's a guy giving certificates out there who's neither a doctor or a demonologist, and he quotes Crowley directly online on his old radio show. Some guy over in Ohio. All the courses online that you're going to run into are probably all fraud. We don't have anything online right now.
Yes.
The church doesn't. You'll have to, pay, and I don't know if laity will even have access to it. They give it to priests and clergy, including deacons, first. And if they run out of, we'll say, spaces for the conference, or, then you're not going to get in. You're out of luck. Well, at one point they did do it. And even Matt Baglio, how do you pronounce it?
Matt Baglio, who wrote about the St. Louis exorcism that had come here from another state, because her son was seriously possessed, and they'd gone through everything, and they needed the exorcist in the St. Louis area. Matt Baglio did the book. He
did the book, The Right, for representing Father Thomas, and he went to the International Association of Exorcists classes, and which he had to go to Europe. They didn't have anything in Chicago then. And that one was that was a time when they actually let laity in there. Now the waiting list, the lady, they take first come, first serve.
The laity flooded it so much with their curiosity and the fact that they opened it up to people that can pay, that unfortunately the priests can't get in it. They've had to change it, folks.
Yeah, they changed that. And that's important to note, too, because we got to prioritize. The priests got to get in there first.
They do. They really do.
They'll pack the punch, and don't overstep your bounds. But so, what qualifies us is not necessarily going to qualify anybody else. We got the Forrest brothers. I haven't mentioned this before. They all deceased. The last one, who was a bit of a mentor, because I was discerning to be a priest at the age of 15. The problem is I liked rock and roll, and I ended up getting a band, unfortunately, I'll say. But I was anxious to get back from the one retreat that I went with him, so I could see Kiss on Paul Lynde's Halloween special.
No, remember Paul
See where my
Lynn? Oh my
prior-
gosh, I loved Hollywood
Center Square.
Squares.
See my priorities when I
Remember
was
that,
15?
Michael? Oh my gosh,
Yep.
Hollywood Squares. I loved him. They always stuck him in the center because he was the funniest and the coolest.
He was, his name was Charles Forrest, and he was
Really?
a
Oh my
my
gosh.
grandfather's sister's son. And there was 3 of them. There was Bishop Forrest, yes, one of the bishops of St. Louis, archbishops, and there was Charles Forrest, Monsignor, and Bill Forrest, who baptized, and they're all deceased now, baptized my son, our son Jacob, when he was a baby, of course. But see, all of these people are mentors because the catechism of the church is a big thing. When you see this stuff, you have to point them to the right direction. The catechism of the church basically is a simplistic way where you don't have to read the Bible. It's 2,000 years old, by the way. No one added new stuff in there, like people say. And the way that you think that you read it so you don't have to read the Bible and interpret for yourself or call the wrong person. What do you think? There's 23,000, there's more than that, denominations. Because everybody reads it and they get it different. Well, the Catechism of the Church simplifies it, gives you what you need for your salvation. Sometimes they leave things out that, like purgatory spirits with, like suicides don't necessarily go to hell, and you got to ask a theologian, or in this case us, because that's our business. We have to know this stuff. So we got diverse in it. My dad was very diverse in it. He did a deliverance ministry with my mother until I was in 3rd grade. Long story short, but he continued his studies for years after, even though they stopped doing it when I was in 3rd grade. All of these things play a part. And since there's no universities or anything like that outside of what even Christopher Sampson did, going for 7 years to seminary.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not learning demonology in the sense that what we do it. And
No,
School of Hard Knocks from Farah. We're dealing with stuff, finding out that the tea doesn't work. Bob Larson, you can't take a tea with all these jewels and motifs on it. That's what they think it is. The cross didn't mean anything in Constantine's time. The sign that, it was said that Jesus said, you will conquer with this sign. He didn't show a cross. Cross was a threat to Christians then. He showed the PX, the old symbol of the old church. P with an X on the base, which means Pax Christi. It's a symbol of Christ.
And then again, you're talking about Christopher, and there are people like Christopher who have qualifications because they've dealt with a number of people that have serious addictions and serious issues that have troubled them spiritually. And where Christopher, we wouldn't classify him a demonologist, he's definitely a spiritual warfare counselor in the sense that he can take people where he's been.
That's true.
And that's exactly what he does every day. And what qualifies him is the horrible walk that he himself has existed through and that he continues to do in his professional life. So in some cases, folks, you may not need a demonologist. You may need somebody, with Christopher's qualifications who has studied the level of the gospel that is needed to bring some light into your life.
That's a lot of work, that's like pastoral care.
So many years of work.
Therapy.
I can't even imagine it. I couldn't have survived. I would have jumped out the window. I have a short attention span of a gnat.
What I noticed is when some of the calls came through the diocese,
right?
They might pray with them to make them feel better, but if they don't give a direct solution, that's where we come in. And I want anybody who follows us and wants to do what we do. Besides, I'm not going to go through pray for discernment, etc. Talk to. I'm going to say when you're already there and you got a calling and stuff, is the direct solutions is the key. Well, the church can just, pray with them, but if you don't pray and give them advice specifically that you're getting a shadowy visitor at night and sleep paralysis and you have stress and anxiety, well, you can nail that anxiety on a separate level, We're going to have to address the porn problems next year, and that's a big one, so I probably shouldn't have put it in the list because we had a lot on deck.
We're going to save it for next week, folks. Because this has been a really amazing show, and we're very, very blessed. We were talking earlier about how sometimes you just don't feel like doing things, and I know that Christopher can easily be back in a nice, warm house playing with his kids, and right now he is in the cold talking to us. Michael Norton could be, munching his bowl of Cheerios on, on his phone with people from all over the world. but he spends it with you folks and us. Deb Johnson, oh my gosh. She's got dogs. She's got kids. She's got a husband. She's got snow.
She's got a horse. Oh, that's
Yeah,
the dog.
But she, she spends it with us. So I want to tell each and every one of you how blessed we are to have you join us and participate. And Jennifer and Kevin, thank you so much for coming in tonight and hanging with us. We love you too. And as always, I missed this last night. We are here because the battle's already won, kids. Done. The battle's won. It's already been decided. But you know what? We're here to help you fight the fight and win it right. So from everybody sign off. Good night, John Boy.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
God bless you, one and all. And don't forget, Jesus loves you and so do we.
Good night. God bless you.
Sweet dreams, everybody.
Thanks for
See you
watching.
next week.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube either.
That's
and
right.
they always
YouTube,
end
The
up
Real
there.
Deals, and all that good stuff. And you know what? Kevin's going to put his information in the thread so you guys can find him because he's got other groups. And, of course, Michael Norton, you know where to find him on M16 Ministries. And Christopher Sampson, he's hiding under a rock. And Deb Johnson, you can find her here.
Or buy Deb Johnson's book
Yeah.
or whatever. That's
Good night,
she makes
guys.
money on it.
Night.
Good
Thank
night.
you all. God bless.